instaMERSION.
Welcome everybody back to I Am Talk. We are super blessed today to have Mrs. Lorraine Conaway on set today, and I can't believe you guys flew all the way from California just to meet up with me. I know you guys have other plans, but I'm just trying to make myself feel special.
Well, you are special, Alex.
Thank you. But no, such a blessing to have you here, and
thank you.
I'm just so excited to for our conversation and just to hear more about your journey and your vision. And for what God has planned for you and Jim through JCA Solutions, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just love just to kind of recollect the first time that we got to interact with each other, and just the spark of joy that I got to receive through our connection. But it was actually at an event, right?
Yes, it was in an event. And I believe it was in 2016.
2016,
so,
yes.
Boy, 6 years went by like this.
Is that 6 years? Oh my gosh. Yes, just
really fast.
Just super fast. But since then, I mean, just as a personal testimony, you guys have been able to help me not only through the financial sense, but also through just being able to free me up financially to be able to pour my energies and my time to doing my serving through my passions and my giftings. But if you can just start us off, Lorraine, what is it that you guys are doing, and what is JCA Solutions all about?
Well, you know what, I work with my husband, and you're going to be interviewing him.
I can't wait.
And so we met about 32 years ago.
Wow.
And
that's how old I am. No. I'm way older than that.
Well, I know how old you are.
I know.
So what happened is that we started in traditional financial industry, and then we evolved. We're real estate investors. Been real estate investors for 27 years. Running our business, run multi-million-dollar businesses, and things evolved. We've developed a network of people to help get people focused on their passion, their ministry, You know, Jim and I, we have a lot of clients here on the islands, and I was just telling you earlier today how we talk to people about, what do you want to do when your investments, your assets are able to replace your salary, your income? And they're like, well, I want to develop a charity. I want to help us fight against sex trafficking, understanding the risk involved. And they said, my family is supporting me. All of these missionary things, we get to contribute to those greater, bigger things. Right? That God's plan. Right?
I mean, I see, a lot of situations, or a lot of, even friends and people that we know, where I just feel like a lot of people are stuck, right? And it's not that they're not making money, or that they're not budgeting, or just doing the 101 kind of things, but I'm seeing more of a poverty mindset a lot, where people, they have, but they don't think they either have enough, or maybe they don't have the right strategies to move forward, to get ahead. But what are some of the patterns, or some of the things that you see within?
Okay, so I love that you are providing this education for your community.
Of course.
And so, one of the things that we've learned and that we hear about is traditional wealth building. What are the traditional wealth buildings? Alex, just recently I was looking at about a dozen YouTube videos.
Yes.
And you know what they say? They say, well, you got to get a budget. You got to save more.
Save more, yes.
You got to spend less. And you got to work longer. And I meet people, especially here on the islands, because it's so expensive.
Oh my goodness.
Cost of living, who are working 2 and 3 jobs. So what we do is we are very traditional in our values, but we're untraditional in the strategies.
I love that.
So let me give you an example.
Yes.
Okay, an example would be, let's use OPM as an example.
Other people's money. Right?
Other people's money. Right? What is that? That is leveraging. Could be a HELOC. It could be a business line of credit. It could be different ways to develop assets, and then take those assets and make it work for you in ways that beat inflation. And an example might be cash flow real estate. That's an example.
Yes.
That's where you were like,
it's
okay.
one of my passions, one of my loves.
Okay, so why was it your passion? Why was it?
For me, it was, well, for me, my parents actually were into real estate. They had bought a bunch of foreclosures in the 80s and did a lot of, more fix and not flip to begin with, but fix, hold on for the long term. But then they had maybe units that had maybe 16 to 20 apartments. And so from there, they would gain a lot of passive income. And so when I kind of heard what they were doing on that level, and then when I was looking at my finances, I was like, well, I don't have $1.something million to buy an apartment complex. But what I love with cash flow real estate in other places where you can do more, have more turnkey options in places like maybe more in the Midwest or other places.
On
there's
the mainland,
different markets. Right?
On the mainland, there's a lot of different markets on the mainland, and you could actually get, double-digit returns.
Yes.
And rents go up as inflation goes up, properties appreciate.
Oh, I love that.
On the mainland in those middle states like they do in Hawaii.
But there still is appreciation.
You're still appreciation. Yeah. And so you're beating inflation. Yes. You're having an opportunity where you're not saving $100, $200, $500 a month and waiting to go, okay, I don't need to have $100,000 saved. I could just maybe get a line of credit with $25,000.
Right, and that $25,000, if it were sitting in a savings account, gaining 0.00001% versus parking it into a down payment for a house. I mean, you're getting all the benefits of cash flow. I'm sure you guys can talk about tax strategies as well.
Oh yeah,
that's a whole other conversation.
He's going to be talking about that. So there's tax strategies that you stack on, which creates more cash flow. Yep. The real estate creates cash flow, creates tax savings, and then one of the things that people miss is there's literally hundreds of millions of dollars. Actually trillions of dollars in retirement accounts.
Wow.
And people, they don't know, where to put their money. They could self-direct, retirement funds.
Right.
And have that go into real estate and other types of investments that are secured.
Yeah.
There's guaranteed investments, there's secured investments that produce nice cash flow.
Yes. I mean, you guys have been amazing being able to introduce to us this whole gamut of different vehicles, right? Where there's cash flow real estate, there's the self-directed IRA, even things with life insurance, right? That we never had even known about until you guys provided that education. Yes. But given this whole range of so many different things to invest, where would somebody start? How would they? Yeah, given their financial situation.
Okay, very good question. So we have a process, because process and systems do work.
They do, if they're done right.
Yeah, exactly, if they're done right. So the process is we have a simple questionnaire. We have a secure Dropbox. We ask people to put their tax return and the secure Dropbox and a questionnaire, and then we run an analysis. And then from our analysis, we create our initial meeting, and we say, hey, Alex, we see that you have some lazy assets here in the bank. You have opportunities here to get OPM. Yes. We could use simple interest versus amortized interest. Restructuring, kind of what you're doing, looking at your taxes. Most people are overpaying their taxes. So looking and saying, right now, most people, they have their 401k, they have their house, and they have their job. Yes. Right? Whether they're W-2 or entrepreneur. Right? Those are the core things. Yeah. So now how do we take that, kind of reorganize how they're doing what they're doing, and look to see how much cash flow we could generate.
I love that.
So, just the other day, I was just talking with somebody who just retired this December 31st.
Wow.
Social Security is $30,000 a year income, and their retirement is producing $30,000.
Oh my goodness.
A year income.
Oh wow.
So that's $60,000.
Yes.
So I said
passive, right?
Right? Passive. But I said if you reorganize how you're doing what you're doing, then you can conservaely get over $100,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, $100,000. Yeah, $100,000 of income. $100,000 of income, and so it's a big shift. And on top of that, we converted some IRA to Roth, tax-free. So now there's opportunity to balloon up a Roth.
Yes.
And every situation is so different. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. The process is the same.
Yes.
But the analysis and the steps that we take are custom to what people are doing.
I love that. I love that. I mean, I've gone through many financial advisors before, and there was never a process of just being able to look at what I was working with. It was more about, hey, like, what do you have and what can you invest into something that I have no education or clue about given their investments. And there's just this kind of trust that I have to have in them. And I was never completely sold out because I didn't know what was going on, right? But coming to you guys where I love the approach of being able to kind of get a lay of the land, right? Where it wasn't just a focus on, no, just do real estate or just do this or just do this, but hey, let's get a holistic look of, hey, like, what are you dealing with, right? And how are we able to kind of shift things and move things around? And you guys give us so many options of different strategies that we could say, hey, if you potentially move this and shifted this around, this is the potential outcome, right?
Yeah, it's not looking traditional, right?
Very,
Traditional
very
is okay, you have an example, you have $100,000 to invest, so now let's create an asset allocation and let's invest that $100,000. Here, what we're doing is we're looking at creating new cash flow.
I love that.
Right? We're creating cash flow out of tax savings, which, you know, my husband will talk about later. And then we're creating cash flow from, let's use OPM as an example, right? So now a person, let's say they don't have $25,000 sitting in the bank, but they could get a personal line of credit, and that $25,000 creates cash flow by properly investing that, creating additional tax strategies, and that $25,000, let's say, creates $2,000 a year income. The tax strategy creates $3,000. That's $5,000 of additional cash flow that wasn't in their budget. Right? So now you take that, and then we create a systematic plan where the debt is paid off, because debt, you know, can be dangerous. So we want to make sure that the debt's paid off. And it's a systematic wealth, and once the debt's paid off, then you repeat. Repeat. Now you buy another asset, pay the debt off faster, repeat. Buy another asset, pay it off, and that systematic cycle starts working. And it's like all of a sudden, not you don't just have 5,000. You have 5,500, 6,000, 65, and $10,000 starts building and stops compounding. And it's like, well, I didn't even get to the $100,000 yet, right? I haven't even worked on that yet. I'm just creating out of just nothing, right?
So great, so great. When people hear of OPM, other people's money, taking out loans, there could be some bad connotations attached with that. What are some of the maybe the mishaps that you've seen happen, and what are some of the cautions that you warn? Because there's a certain form of discipline that you need if you're able to get a certain amount of money from the bank.
Yes, very good question. So yes, having a discipline, that is really important. And part of that discipline is knowing the systematic strategy. So getting the education on going, okay, how do I pay off that debt? Okay, so where does that money come from to pay off that debt? That's part of the analysis. That's part of going, okay, this asset is going to, the income from this asset is going to go straight to pay off the debt. The tax savings is going to go straight to pay off the debt. Any excess cash flow, if there's any, is going to go to pay off that debt. So when there is that systematic approach of paying off that debt, and then also understanding simple interest,
Yes.
how that works. Now, there isn't any time today to go into depth about that, but understanding that and how that type of interest can help pay down the debt faster.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal. So there's so many different, facets of wealth building once, we get the right education, are introduced to, these other types of different vehicles. But again, we're looking at everything in a holistic way. And I love even too how, just your comments on other people's money, everything is that you're earning is going back to pay off that debt. It's not just sitting there, right? It's not just gaining more interest, or it's not just growing in a debt, but it's actually something where it's like, no, once you kind of get it back to a certain point, then you're able to use that to be able to buy more assets that create passive income.
Yes, exactly. And then in addition to that, you talked briefly earlier about, a strategy that is bank on yourself, or getting insurance, how you maximize the cash value.
I love that. So
the design of that is so critical. So what we do is we get the minimum death benefit. We replace, if you need $1 million, we have term insurance, but we have the minimum death benefit and the highest cash value we can. So we get, 5, 6, 7% earnings tax deferred inside of that. That also builds. And so we use that cash to cycle into that debt too. So that's stacking strategies on top of that. So that is another way to accumulate and build wealth, right? Tax advantage. So we want tax-free, tax-deferred, and Jim's going to talk more about that. I get so excited about it because it is a way to accelerate the wealth process. And then if we have time, I also wanted to talk briefly about trust deed investments.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's a whole nother avenue. We do have time.
Oh, okay.
We do have time to touch upon that. But just regarding the life insurance, it's specifically with a permanent life insurance plan, right?
Yes,
not
cash value. Yes, cash value accumulation. Typically what happens, people will get insurance where they get the death benefit they need and the minimum in premium.
Love that.
Well, we kind of flip it. We flip it. We get the maximum premium.
Which might scare people at first, right?
But remember, we're finding the money. We're finding the money. We're saying, okay, in our analysis, this is what we can see that works within that systematic wealth process.
And this is why the strategy aspect is so important, to be able to have that outlook on that aspect, right?
Exactly.
Excellent. And then, so you also mentioned first trust deeds.
Yes.
Right? What is a first trust deed, and what kind of investment is that, and how does that work out? Okay,
great. Well, what happens is, a lot of people do own a home. Or a condo. They own a real estate. And so when you buy real estate, you get a mortgage. And that is a loan.
That's a loan.
And what does the bank do? They collateralize the loan they put a lien on the house. And if you don't pay, then they could take the house. Well, that is a trust deed. That is a deed. That is first position on the property. And so investors have the opportunity to invest and have a collateralized loan.
Excellent, yes.
And so tonight, we're going to be talking about one of the trust deed investments that we are connected with in our network. And that is a trust deed where minimum investment is $2,000 and the return is 35%.
What?
Between 6 months and 24 months. 6 to 24 months, 35% return. So if it goes to 24 months, it's 17.5. Still,
but just a short-term investment,
short-term
return.
Minimum $2,000, and it's secured, recorded at the county recorder's office on a piece of property. So you go to that property, you're in first position, a lot of equity, and that is a way to also accumulate wealth. That's because excellent. People think, well, I got my 401k, I got mutual funds, stocks and bonds, but there's more to it than just that.
Wow. And then you mentioned just, on the lower end of the spectrum, just a 2K buy-in. And so that's pretty unheard of, right?
Yeah.
With that amount of return.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we always look for is, what are the opportunities that we can share and educate, clients with, so that they could get ahead of inflation. Yes. They could get ahead of the curve, and they could really do their passion, their ministry. And this is our ministry.
Yes, it is. It is. With all the new kind of things coming out regarding maybe cryptocurrency or NFTs or whatnot, for JCA Solutions, are those things that you guys would encourage to, or would you kind of more bank on more I wouldn't even call it traditional, but the vehicles that you have been working with that have proven to work so well?
Yeah, so in our network, we have people who are securities licensed in our network. They'll do the mutual funds, the stocks, the bonds. Cryptos, that's an area we do not do. Okay. However, we collaborate, we can coordinate the efforts with that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have some clients who've invested years ago in the cryptos who have now, even though the cryptos have gone down, they still have made quite a lot of money. Wow. So now we're helping how to exit that with minimum tax.
Put your money into something a little bit more stable, and a little bit more promising.
Oh yeah, because it's been such a woo!
Oh my gosh, I mean, when I was invested into crypto when it first came out, I was on my app 24/7 because it doesn't sleep, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The anxiety and all the different things.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, well, I gotta move this money into something that's more stable and more promising, right?
Oh yeah. Nothing bad about it. It's just what is your risk tolerance?
It's a different mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the risk tolerance, and how much money should you put in there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's private placement investments. There's a lot of other things. So it's just looking at what's the right percentage for you.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So how much makes sense?
Right.
For you and your family, right?
For me, I always think of crypto as more play money and.
Yeah, I would say that is play money.
It's okay to have a little percentage in there, but don't don't move all your eggs in that basket, right? But if there's a way that you can strategize and have maybe it's a 5% of your portfolio or a 10%, whatever that looks like, you can still be in the game, not feel like you're being left out, right?
Exactly.
But have other things working for you as well.
Even though we don't, do any education on cryptos, I do know that it does make sense to do dollar cost averaging,
right?
Because it is so up and down to put in money every month or every week, a little bit, so that you get the buy-in here.
Do you personally have, with all the different ways that you can invest, are there any favorites that you have, or like kind of more go-tos, like if you had an extra 10, 20 grand that you can park somewhere, what would be a go-to for you?
Well, I've been addicted to real estate for a long time. Yeah. So real estate's my go-to, but there are, depending on the age of people, there are investments that are like pension-like income, where you can get a guaranteed income. That's not the trust deeds, that's not the real estate. For a small amount of money, $5,000, $10,000, we did talk about the trust deeds. So there are guaranteed type of investments. There are the, properly designed bank on yourself, cash value in the life insurance. And with real estate, I think the minimum investment is $18,000, $20,000, something like that.
And that's depending on the market and depending on where.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So you don't have to have a ton of money.
Yeah. And it's not even your money, right? If you're using
exactly.
OPM, right?
Exactly. Although there is a lot of money sitting on the sidelines in the bank.
Yes.
We do talk to people who have several $100,000 sitting in the bank. Why? Because they don't know what to do with their money.
They don't know what to do. Yeah. And that's their kind of sense of security too, kind of knowing, hey, we have this barnyard store with all this, but it's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. We're quickly down to our last few minutes, but if I want to kind of give you a time to shine. And so if you could address our front camera,
Okay.
if there's a message, if there's an inspiration, or just something that you want to leave us with, then feel free just to, for a minute or so, just to share with our audience.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you first of all for having
Absolutely.
me here and sharing what we do, what we've been doing for 32 years for myself, and it's evolved. And so anybody who's interested and they want to find out what their analysis would be, we would be happy to do a complimentary analysis. And we have 2 ways to contact us. One is 714, our phone number, 714-577-8758. And another way would be info@jcasolution.com, info@jcasolution.com, and we would be happy to do an analysis.
Yes, and so again, guys, just want to thank you, Lorraine, for coming down to this set and just sharing, just amazing ways that you've been able to free people financially to be able to allow them, just like people like myself, where I could run my race, I could focus my time and energy, serving in my passion. For me, it's pastoring, it's serving in our church. It's there's a lot of we don't get a lot of income as pastors, right? But at the same time too, it allows us to say, hey, there's other creative ways that we can take what the Lord has allowed us to steward so that we could make a bigger kingdom difference. And so you're doing that for so many different people. And thank you for your ministry, for you and Jim's ministry, for being able to take everything that you've learned and gleaned and be able to give it away to free other people in that same way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, everybody, that's all the time that we have for I Am Talk. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
instaMERSION.
Wow, that was just a sneak preview of what's to come next here on I Am Talk. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap that bell icon to get the latest notifications on the upcoming episodes here on I Am Talk. So who's ready to talk story? Let's go.